It is my pleasure to welcome Adam Bergman to the show. He is the founder of IRA Financial, and he does self-directed IRAs. We've done shows on that several times over the years, but not recently. And he has some advanced strategies he wants to share. Adam, welcome. How are you?
Thanks, Jason. Look forward to our conversation.
Yeah. Well, where would you like to start? We talked about several things before we started. I'll leave it to you to where you want to go with it.
Okay, I'll kind of give kind of a brief history of the IRA world, self-directed IRAs, kind of where we sit now in the marketplace. So IRAs were created in 1974 by ERISA. There's about 65 million IRAs, around $17 trillion in IRAs. There's multiple types of IRAs. There's something called a traditional IRA, which is a pre-tax IRA where you get a deduction for putting money in, but when you pull it out, you pay tax. There's something called a Roth IRA that it's an after-tax IRA where you don't get a deduction for putting money in, but as long as you're over 59 and a half and the Roth's been open 5 years, everything you pull out is tax-free. So it's an amazing
and
tax
I think
shelter.
Peter Thiel really hacked the Roth IRA better than anybody. By the way, let me just tell that story for just a quick moment. So Peter Thiel bought some, startup founder stock, private stock in like companies like Facebook. He bought it in his Roth IRA. And that account ended up being worth like $5 billion. It's insane. And so that money, when he takes it out, is tax-free. It's incredible. It's an incredible deal.
So,
but did they modify?
let me just double click on that.
Yeah.
I'll double click. They didn't modify it. Those rules still exist. He actually worked with a mentor of mine because Roth IRA is created in 97. Yeah, you can still do it. PayPal was created in 99. He actually put in around $1,800 in PayPal. So there's two requirements. Yeah, there's two requirements in order to make. So let me do this. There's three things you cannot do with an IRA. Okay, you can't buy life insurance. You can't buy collectibles like art. And then thirdly, under 4975 of the tax code, you cannot do anything in your IRA that directly or indirectly personally benefits you, your lineal descendants, your parents, children, spouse, daughter-in-law, son-in-law, or any entities 50% or more controlled by such persons. So what did Peter Thiel do? He owned less than 50% of PayPal, okay, because he has Elon Musk and some other investors as well, other founders. He paid fair value for the shares of PayPal because it was a startup. He paid par value, which was like less than a penny a share, put in $1,700, and he turned that into around $26 million in several years. But like you mentioned, Jason, his biggest score was he was the first investor into Facebook. And instead of using personal money, he put $500,000 of Roth IRA money, and he turned that into approximately $450 million several years later when it went public. So you can employ that same strategy today.
Where did we get the $5 billion? I think
Business.
like $5 billion in it or something.
He did. He does.
Yeah.
So he made other investments like Palantir, as well as many others. So over the years, or the last 20 years, he was able to take that probably $600-700 million and almost 10x it.
Wow.
Yeah, smart guy.
It's all possible in terms of the IRA. They did not change those rules. I remember reading some articles about people were kind of outraged, and that's why I thought maybe the rules kind of changed on that. But
No, they never changed. You can still do exactly what Peter Thiel did. In fact, I've done some of that just on a way smaller scale, unfortunately. So it's all possible, whether it's real estate or private business stock.
Okay, good. Keep going.
So two benefits I mentioned of why using an IRA is so important in an investment setting is you get a deduction if you're using a pre-tax IRA, like a traditional IRA, a SEP IRA, a simple IRA, or a 401k. And then if you use a Roth IRA, two ways you can do that: through a conversion of pre-tax to Roth, which is subject to income tax, or by making Roth contributions. So in 2025, you can put away $7,000 if you're under 50, $8,000 in an IRA or Roth IRA. A SEP IRA is $70,000, and a simple IRA is around $14,500. 401k you can do around $23,500 or $31,000 if you're over 50. So those are the primary ways of getting money into a retirement account. All types of retirement accounts can be self-directed. When IRAs were created in 1974 by ERISA, by Congress, they did not distinguish between IRAs that invest in stocks and IRAs that invest in real estate. Okay, the only three things you can't do are what I just mentioned. Everything else you can do it. So that allows you to create your own freedom, create your own luck, and create your own wealth.
I like the way you say that. Create your own freedom, your own luck, and your own wealth. That's great. I have talked to you many times about my experience with a gold dealer years ago, and the one major flaw of precious metals investing when it comes to gold and silver, and that is that it does not produce income. But what if you could make gold and silver work for you just like your income property? Well, you can. Our new sponsor is Monetary Metals, and people who own gold as a hedge against inflation like that feature, but the gold just sits there. It's collecting dust, right? But with their leasing program, you can actually earn a yield. So check out our new sponsor, Monetary Metals, and it's monetary-metals.com/Hartman. And you can learn more about this opportunity. Instead of paying to store your metal, you can now get paid to own it, earning passive income paid in more ounces of real physical gold every single month. With Monetary Metals, you can earn up to 4% in their leasing program immediately upon funding your account. Yields are paid monthly in ounces of physical gold or silver, which you can get in addition to any price appreciation from your gold and silver over the holding period. Fund your account with metal you already own or purchase it from them at less than 1% over spot. I liked this product so much, I signed up myself. Gold and silver are a great insurance policy. Again, I never really treated them as an investment. They were just kind of an insurance policy. But now you can earn a return of up to 4% on that insurance policy. So it just got a lot better. Visit monetary-metals.com/Hartman and learn more about this program. So there are some tax implications, though, people need to think about, like unrelated business income and so forth. Can you talk about those?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll put on my lawyer's hat. I was a tax lawyer in New York City for 8 years. I worked at some of the largest law firms in the world, and I actually never heard of a self-directed IRA. I was lucky enough that I was fortunate to do some research for a client of the firm. It was a hedge fund client that wanted to use his IRA to invest in a hedge fund, and I was just blown away. Lo and behold, you are able to invest your IRA in alt. So that kind of led me to quit my job and start IRA Financial. And in general, all investments you do with a retirement account are tax deferred or tax free, meaning you don't pay tax in the IRA environment. So if the investment generates capital gains, right? You sell stocks, you sell real estate for $1 and you sell it for $1 million, it's tax free in the IRA. Interest on loans, you lend your friend money, he pays you interest, tax free. Dividends from stock, private or public, tax free. Royalties, rental income, all tax free. Unfortunately, there's one tax that applies to charities like the Red Cross, but also to IRAs, and that's known as Unrelated Business Income Tax, or UBIT. It was put in the code in the 50s really to stop companies like McDonald's from setting up charities and running their business through charities and never paying tax. But unfortunately, it also applies to IRAs because an IRA is tax exempt like a charity. So this UBIT is only triggered in 3 instances. That's it, just 3 times. Number one, if you use margin to buy stock. Okay. Number 2, if you use a loan to buy real estate, and whether it's margin or whether it's a loan to buy real estate, the loan must be non-recourse. Why? Because Internal Revenue Code section 4975 does not allow you to personally guarantee an obligation of your IRA. So that's why the loan must be non-recourse. Non-recourse means you do not personally guarantee the obligation of the retirement account.
And so what this means to the traditional real estate investor is that you can't get the really good leverage, and we love leverage as real estate investors. You can't get that great leverage inside the IRA. You can get okay leverage. There are lenders that'll do like 50% LTV and so forth. I haven't really checked into this lately. Not many of our clients do it. A lot of times what they do is they put their other assets in their IRA, in their self-directed IRA, and they have the real estate outside. Now you can do notes within your self-directed IRA, and that's pretty good.
Right. Exactly, Jason. So, and then the third category is if your IRA invests in an active business, like a restaurant that's owned through an LLC, a pass-through entity, there could be UBIT. Now, the UBIT tax is in 2025's tax. The highest rate is 37%, where you hit that at a very, very low threshold, around $15,000. So it's a very painful tax. But there are ways to get around it. And if you work with IRA Financial, we have the expertise. So here's a few little tricks. Number one, if you're self-employed, and a lot of real estate investors are self-employed or they have a business with no full-time employees other than the owners, you can set up what's called a solo 401k. And unlike an IRA—
I have one of those. I have a solo K.
There you go. So Jason, I don't know if you know, but if you use a solo 401k to buy real estate, the right company, you can go get a non-recourse loan and there's no UBIT tax because there's an exemption under the Internal Revenue Code 514C9 that allows you to use a non-recourse loan to buy real estate in a 401k and not be subject to this UBIT tax, so that 37% tax. So we have a lot of clients, thousands and thousands of clients that are able to get leverage and not pay the UBIT tax so long as they move from the IRA world to the 401k world. Okay. So that's one way to eliminate UBIT. The second way is you can employ what's called a blocker strategy. And a blocker strategy means you basically set up a domestic C Corp. Okay. It could be a Delaware C Corp. And you reduce that 37% tax to 21%, right? Because the corporate income tax rate is 21%, whereas the UBIT maximum tax rate is 37%. So there are some two quick ways to do it. You mentioned hard money loans. Instead of investing, you can do hard money lending. And the interest you receive back from the real estate developer who's borrowing the money is tax deferred in the retirement account.
Yeah, and so you can do hard money lending, but you can also just buy notes within your IRA.
Correct.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So you can either fund the note directly and be the lender, or you can be the note buyer after that loan has been initiated. And I think that's a pretty good strategy for a self-directed IRA, is to have the notes inside the IRA and the real estate outside of the IRA. I think that would be kind of an optimum strategy, actually.
Yeah, I mean, listen, for me, I drink what I produce, and I have real estate in my IRA. And the way I use it is I was able to get a little bit of leverage. I borrowed from a friend, kind of did a joint venture. You can actually do personal and IRA at the same time, so long as it's structured properly, and co-invest with friends or family. And I was able to buy a rental property. I Airbnb it. You just can't use it personally, which is fine for me. I rent it out. I get tax-free income. And eventually when I sell it, my property's appreciated at least 2x. So it turned out to be a really good investment for me.